Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We're back again with another culture content, culture topic. Follow me, Jay Doran underscore the Culture Man on Instagram for short clips on leadership, culture, business, life. Today, I'm talking about this idea of breakers versus builders. You know, the breakers, those that will break you down, right? If they're not someone that will lift you up, they're breaking you down, or the builders, people that will build you up. This idea of get rid of the breakers and get closer to the builders. I think it's a bunch of hogwash. What if it's all backwards? What if the idea that there's a people that, the breakers, people that, are going to hold you down, how to figure out who those people are versus those that'll lift you up. What if it's all backwards? What it what if, maybe that could work for a period of time? Because what Pharaoh is not going to get where they want with the least amount of resistance, having been lifted up by their slaves. However, how long is that going to last before the people that they've stupefied, nullified their conscience, silenced their ability to think for themselves, eventually break and have a revolution? So I have a very different, or I think it's different based on all the voices that I see or hear rather, and influential people I see sharing how, if the people you have to get rid of the people in your life that aren't lifting you up. Not necessarily. It depends on what are they actually saying. How can we differentiate between who's a protagonist in life and who's an antagonist in our life if not listening to the content? And I don't think this idea of dichotomizing it versus, there's the breakers and there's the builders, there's the haters, or there's the supporters, or there's the, the naysayers, and there's the yes people. I don't think that dichotomization actually helps us in our own journey to be the best version of ourselves, in our own elevation of self-awareness and competence. And this is why people in power hit lids in their leadership. They stop growing. The organizations that they lead, or they're at the helm of, exceed in power, their power, meaning they exceed in breadth and depth the authorities that are at the helm of them, their awareness and education. And I think that has something to do with this type of idea that people go as far as their awareness, their education, their experience takes them, and then they stop. Well, why? Because of ideas like this that actually end up leading to everything being in a vacuum, and only people surrounding the person in position of authority that agree or appease their thoughts, ideas, and opinions. And yeah, listen, this is not an easy recipe that I'm presenting here. It's the, this idea that there are the people that will drag you down. They could very well be the people that are right. They could very well be the people that they're actually, it's a test of your character, and a test of your competence to be challenged. Now, it isn't easy to be challenged. It we have like it isn't, because we have to be standing on a firm foundation. The firmer our foundation, the firmer our values, the firmer our confidence, our competence, the more open we'll be to differing views and opinions, thoughts and ideas. And it's the openness to differing views, opinions, thoughts, and ideas that actually develop leadership within an organization. So I guess my my main thought I want to leave you with this, on this idea that there's breakers and there's builders, there's people you build with, and there's people that, break things down, is don't be too quick to dichotomize and to put people into these camps, because it could be backwards. The builder could end up just being the person that's bringing no value, but another feedback loop for what you already think yourself. And the breaker could be the one that's right and really genuinely trying to take things to the next level. And, we can't hear them for whatever reason. We don't want to be surrounded by yes people. We want to be surrounded by no people, or have a nice mixture. It was a a lecture on Churchill that I was recently taking that talked about how after the Dardanelles or something, it was like a big battle, big war, that or a big battle that he lost. He didn't listen to anyone, and then after that, he learned from it, and he in the in when he was running England against the Nazis, he was surrounded by no people, people that would he would he would want them to challenge his opinions. He wouldn't make that final call if everyone was against him. That was chief of staff. I believe it was chief of staff, like all three of them, all four of them. He wouldn't make that decision, that final decision, if everyone was against him, because he didn't want to um, succumb to his own narrative and have a blind spot, make really deadly mistakes where people actually lost their lives over his inability to listen. This idea that the people around you either lift you up or drag you down is flawed because what's the in between? You know, if they're not lifting me up, they're dragging me down. But truth and the elevator to truth is an interaction. It's iterative. It is a seesaw. It like just if you look at a business and how it goes up and how it goes down, because it's not just an end in itself. It has a relationship with factors outside of it. That's why we're not in control of everything. We have the ability to respond to the world. We our capacity to uh, uh, our capacity to uh, the word control and is flawed deeply because it's less control and it's more of respond or react or interact, and we have a relationship with the world on a spectrum of awareness that has a relationship with our intelligence, with our education, with our lived experience, with yes, those the community that we're a part of. We have the ability to respond to the world that is constantly in flux around us, and it's ebbing and flowing and moving. Let's imagine it like moving towards and against, like a ship in the sea, and the ship is, and the waves are crashing, and the idea that to dichotomize, the people around you will lift you up and drag you down. There's a push and a pull in the pursuit of truth. In like an idea like that undermines innovation. Innovation takes dialogue. Innovation takes exploration. Innovation takes contrasting ideas. Innovation takes differing of opinion. Innovation takes feelings maybe getting hurt unintentionally. Innovation takes feelings might actually get hurt intentionally. Then people lose themselves in the spirit of the dialogue. People, and that's where forgiveness comes in. That's where empathy comes in. That's where courage comes in. That's where compassion come in. That's where um, that's where responsibility comes in. The ability to respond to things outside of our control, outside of our proaction, because there's so much outside of our proaction that we're reacting to and we're relating to, and it to this idea, here's how to identify which kind of people you're surrounding yourself with and why it matters to your success. This idea that there are breakers and builders, I would argue, would actually lead to the person in position of authority becoming the breaker because unintentionally they'll end up surrounding themselves with those that are only capable of saying yes and appeasing as a consequence of their thoughts and feelings and emotions becoming nullified over time, or their conscious becoming nullified over time and leading to apathy, where then the person in position of authority is the breaker because the system is broken as a consequence of their inability to actually surround themselves with people that could appear as though they're dragging them down when they're actually just speaking freely, being uh, uh, um, being attempting to be productive, attempting to be value add, attempting to uh, elevate the organization as opposed to elevate the person. So it just I hope that this dialogue, you know, maybe spurs some thought around not just falling into that idea that it's helpful to only be, you know, surrounded by those where conversations lead to positive emotions because we grow through the conversations that where there's negative oceans as well. Now, at the other side of this coin, that doesn't mean that everyone that we're interacting with that seems like there's a conflict is bought in, you know, is working to the best betterment of the organization. That's where, yes, it can be very hard on those in positions of authority to differentiate between the two. But if we're not leading with our conscience and we're not leading into conversation, we're unlikely to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. We're unlikely to be able to elevate the most competent and confident. We'll elevate the least confident and mediocre to positions of power based on politics, not positions of power based on competence and cooperation and competition. So, you know, there are not only two types of people in the world, builders and breakers. The people, you know, people don't just lift you up or drag you down. P- Life is more nuanced than that. There's so much more to that. Don't just follow that idea. Pay attention, go all in, ask more questions, listen, let people speak, um, and catch yourself needing to be right. Because the purpose of an organization is to serve a customer, right? To create a customer, to serve a customer, not to serve or fulfill our ego directly. That's more indirectly from the as a consequence of serving and fulfilling customers' wants and needs. So follow me, Jay Doran underscore the Culture Man on Instagram. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast and be careful of ideas that, you know, can easily alienate you from your people and from those that are actually the best value adds and attract those that are just easy to work with. Because before you know it, you stop listening, you'll be surrounded by people that have nothing to say.